Good day, everyone. Welcome to Lanfrica Talk 7. I'm very glad to have you here. I'm your host, Chris. Today, we are very honored and excited to have Shamsuddeen, who will talk to us about sentiment analysis for low resource African languages. Shamsuddin is a PhD candidate in computer science at the University of Porto, Portugal. He is also a faculty member at Bayero University, Kano, Nigeria. His research focuses on NLP for low-resource African languages. Currently, he is interested in classification tasks such as sentiment analysis and hate speech detection. Shamsuddin is an active member of the Masakhane NLP group and co-founder of HausaNLP. Thank you so much, Shamsuddin, for having this talk with us. The stage is yours.
All right. Thank you all for inviting me, Chris. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Chris, for inviting me to give this talk. As Chris introduced me, my name is Shamsuddeen Muhammad and PhD student at University of Porto. I'm excited to talk to you today on sentiment analysis in low-resource African languages, and also our effort to, put African NLP to participate in shared task SemEval 2023 called NaijaSenti. What I'm going to talk is basically three things at the end of this talk. Just talk, highlight the level of sentiment analysis in low-resource African languages, and also talk a bit about our work on NaijaSenti, which is sentiment analysis for Nigerian languages, and also finally discuss about AfriSenti SemEval shared task. So one of the motivation here first is that approximately 2,000 languages in the globe are African languages, which estimated 1/3 of the world's total languages. However, African languages are, underrepresented in NLP community. If we look at this ACL 2020, we can see that based on the content author of the paper, top 25, countries, there isn't anyone from African country. So we can see not only on sentiment analysis, but also larger community NLP for African is underrepresented. But when we move on, not only looking about the NLP author, but we can also see that machine learning and also NLP community, we can see that some of the authors here with only affiliation for African researchers, not the content author, but only affiliation. We can see that this is the progression. We can see from 2012 to 2020. You can see the top number for NLP venue is maybe 12. So you can see this is something in which African NLP really underrepresented, and now there is a need for that. But one thing, natural question one may ask is that why is this? Why do we have such kind of low representation? So the basic answer I have is that two things. Number one is we have fewer NLP or AI researchers in the community in the continent. There is no right education for the people to do NLP or AI research in the community. Number two is basically lack of funding. So we all know that if there is no funding, there won't be any research. Especially for African context, data set creation is really matters, because if there is no data set, then there will be no any kind of stuff. So this exactly was saying, unless we have language resources publicly available, free and open, researchers will not be able to do any novel work to do that. So I think these two things, that's what really contribute to non-participation or underrepresentation of NLP researchers who are researched in African contexts. So let's look at how now community is evolving in terms of these AI researchers and also in terms of the data set creation to make them available. So we can see in the AI researcher recently, we have, different airports in African continent, for example, AIMS. We have now, masters from different kind of AIMS in Rwanda, AIMS in South Africa, different kind of institutions are coming now to, deliver expertise or, in AI. We can see also there is Black NIA, which is a community who bring Black in researchers, but also we can see like the creation of community. For example, this is Jada, which we all know here, that, in Deep Indaba, where it called for the attention of, NLP researchers to come and now, create a community. This is where, at this stage where Masakhane was born, and now a lot of, things, good work have been done in NLP community at Masakhane. We can also see that some of our group HausaNLP, we come together just to try to create resources for HausaNLP, and we can see now not only create these resources, but we try also to to put these all resources in a single repository so that we make them available. So this actually motivate and put forward people to participate in this kind of research. But also when we look at the data set availability, we can see that now we have Lacuna Fund. So Lacuna Fund here, we can see that is a kind of entity that comes together that to support African researchers to create data sets. And we can see like now tons of data sets have been created with the support of Lacuna, and people are doing a great job. Now, before in Masakhane, we see like it's just like community role where people just come to create this data set. But now Lacuna is really making a difference by supporting African researchers to create data sets. So you can see like one of our last year project, Sentiment Corpus for Nigerian Languages, was supported by Lacuna. And this year, Lacuna support one of our projects, which is AfriHead dataset for African languages, which is over 15 African languages. So these two things, the education, right education in AI, also the datasets is really contributing. Now, when we go there, not only that, we can see also like now, just recently I attended LRA conference, and I was attending a workshop and somebody was presenting a talk on sentiment analysis in Hausa. And now this person was, after his presentation, someone asked him, did you know one data set called NaijaSenti, which we created, which was the largest data set for Hausa sentiment analysis? In fact, the person was presenting also Hausa sentiment analysis, and the person says no. So it turns out that in Africa, what we really lack is in some way, we are low resource, but also less organized, in the sense that people cannot reach the data set because it's scattered. There is a single resource, a single repository to house this data. So thank God to Lanfrica is coming to solve this kind of issue where it puts together all the resources available for African researchers so that people can find it really easy to find this kind of language resources. So that's basically the state of how NLP in low resource African languages, the data set creation. Now let's move on to sentiment analysis on African languages. So for those of us that today that hear the word sentiment analysis is basically in some terms trying to find opinion in the text. So you can see here we say this is a great services. This is horrible services. So you can see a text carries some kind of sentiment that you can say this is positive, this is negative, but also it can carry some kind of neutral, right? When I say neutral, it means it doesn't have any emotion attached to it. So this is what sentiment analysis is. So let's look at is basically the data set availability in Lanfrica. So you can see here, if you filter from Lanfrica saying, give me only the data set for sentiment analysis, you can see we only have 17 data set for African languages. If you go through these 17, there are some that are even duplicate. So you can see, truly African languages, they are low resource, but also if you come to sentiment analysis, it's indeed different story, as we can see maybe look at it here. Compared to other tasks, look at machine translation. We have over like 150 data set. Look at automatic speech name entity recognition, but look at sentiment analysis, like, and also not in terms of the tasks, but also the number of languages. You can see, I mean, the highest number is 2. Can you see that? Meaning that only resources available for African languages for sentiment analysis, these are only languages that we have currently, but this, what I'm saying, is based on Lanfrica. So we can see only we have Tunisia Arabic, we have Yoruba, we have Niger Pidgin, and also Hausa only one. So this is telling us, you know, indeed, sentiment analysis in African context, we don't have, you know, much research, we don't have much work, and the potential blocker in this is availability of data set. Thank God we released one of the, you know, largest corpus for sentiment analysis, NaijaSenti, and you can see like we made it available for other people to do research in this. So having a look at these, you know, sentiment analysis, the state, how many data we have. Now, if you want to do sentiment analysis, you know, at higher level, we can say we have, you know, lexicon-based machine learning and deep learning approach. So let's look at how African NLP researchers do this. So for lexicon-based approach, which somehow use rule, what happens is for you to do sentiment analysis in this, you need to create like a dictionary of what we call lexicon that contain positive and negative in some ways. And now you know, use this dictionary to find if a text is positive or negative. So for example, here we can see, I love the car. We can see because love from dictionary is positive, we can say this text is positive, right? But what about this? The stock price is increasing. His pain is increasing. We can see like the lexicon here. Can we say this is positive or this is negative? We can say here is positive, here is negative, right? So this lexicon, in some sense, it doesn't capture, you know, the domain dependent, you know, because increasing in, you know, medical field is negative, but in stock price or economic is positive, right? So we need some ways that model that can, you know, capture all these noises. What about if we say he is a mad programmer? You know, in this world, if you say somebody is a mad programmer, in some ways we say this is positive because he's excellent programmer, you know. So it doesn't capture in some sense, you know, the noises on change of word because language is dynamic, it changes, you know, with slang and stuff like that. So this is something about lexicon. So now, but African languages, if you want to do lexicon-based sentiment analysis, sometimes you need a lot of stuff. For example, you need to do STEMI, you need to use stop word to remove. But in Africa, even stop words, we don't have, you know, for the languages. Thank God for recent work we did with Chris and creating stop word for African languages. So this, you know, so it means, you know, lexicon-based sentiment analysis, there are a lot of resources that we don't have that, and it's not powerful as recent approaches. So yeah, these are some of the work for African languages using lexicon. You know, you can see that semantic arrangement, which is lexicon-based, you know, development in a general purpose sentiment lexicon for Igbo. But it turns out that all this, for example, the Igbo one, what they did basically was to translate lexicons from high resource languages. You know what I mean? But it turns out that these translation of lexicon actually, in some sense, alter sentiment. So this is a paper by Saif Muhammad. Saif is here. Thanks for attending our talk, Saif. So it shows that lexicon, when you do translation, in some sense, they reserve their sentiment, but there are some changes. So this is an example. Somebody from my language, Hausa, that just announced in Facebook that, hi, my wife has given birth to a baby boy. But the text has been now translated. During the translation, some words have been translated to prostitute. So you can see, you know, if you want to find the sentiment in this using lexicon whatsoever, prostitute is there, it's going to be, you know, negative sentiment. So in a sense, translating these resources to do sentiment analysis is not an efficient and best way. And now, thank God, we have, you know, powerful approaches. You can use machine learning and stuff like that, and deep learning. And this is, this brings to our recent work that we did, which is called NaijaSenti, which we introduced sentiment analysis purpose for Nigerian languages, which is a work indeed collaboration with a lot of people. We can see here like 14 or some stuff like that. Yeah, so what the contribution of this corpus? So what we did, we create level data set in 4 Nigerian languages, Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, and Pidgin. And we also release a level data for people to do some stuff. We also create sentiment lexicon in these languages, Hausa, Yoruba, and Igbo. We manually annotate this lexicon so that people will no longer do, translation of lexicon from one language to another, automatic translation, I mean. So not only we manually annotate tweet, but also we do another study. We automatically translate the high resource, widely used lexicons, and also give it to other people, expert to, correct the translation and stuff like that. We also train models. So this is basically one of the contribution of our work. And we annotate, averagely, each language, we annotate 30,000 tweets. And this is one of the largest so far available corpus in Africa, as far as I know, annotated data set for sentiment analysis. So let me just discuss some of the challenges for African languages for creating that we encountered. So one of the main challenges for creating corpus for sentiment analysis using Twitter data is basically Twitter Academic API supports 70 languages as of today. However, it supports only one language from Africa, Amharic. This means that if an African researcher wants to create Twitter dataset, he needs to use some kind of heuristic approach, which is really difficult to create data. If you have an API for website, you can just create data set from that. You can grab some, do stuff. So we basically use some, heuristic approach where we create stop word and now send this stop word to Twitter in combination with emoji. And now we grab tweet at particular for particular language. And now also we filter those tweets with lexicons so that we annotate tweet that are potentially positive. And now it turns out that some of these languages, when we use the stop word overlap among languages in Nigeria. So we have language detection. We use language detection as well to detect some of these languages. Another challenge is that the code mix challenge. So African countries are multilingual in nature, meaning our plan was basically to create sentiment corpus in these languages monolingual. For example, we want to create sentiment corpus in Hausa. We want to create sentiment corpus in Igbo. It turns out that we cannot do that. I mean, all that we have, they are code mix. So you can see something in Hausa and some part in English. So this is the nature of Africa. So if you want to create a corpus for, African language, just put in your mind that it will be code mix. So it turns out that we need to go to extra mile, to annotate these tweets manually again, because we don't have resources at our disposal, to automatically determine this is code mix or some stuff like that. Some of the tools we find they are not, really effective. So we go through manually, and we can see like Igbo is one of the language, we can see like, what does it mean? 50. All the tweets are code mix. It means that Igbo, this is one of the language that, is, I don't know what we call it, is, they are indeed code mix in nature. Tonality challenge. So in African languages, basically, because they are tone in nature, it's difficult to determine the sentiment when you give people to annotate. So for example, we can see here, Awon Amo Opobo, sorry, I'm not able, so I cannot speak this correctly. And the same thing, but you can see the meaning here differs. This one means the children wash the dishes, and this means the children broke the dishes. What matters now, when we give to annotators, it turns out that since it is written, there is no tone, it's difficult for them to say this is the meaning. So yeah, this is one of the challenges we encountered for African languages. So finally, we did a bunch of experiments for our corpus. We did multilingual, pre-trained language model. We use language adaptive fine-tuning. We use multitask sentiment. And finally, we did zero-shot cross-lingual transfer. So all of these can be found in our work. And I think the most important thing is that I show a result. One of the results here. We have Afribata, which win among these. So you can see that, for example, we have MBAT, SNR, so the language so only Yoruba, Hausa, but it turns out that Afribata, which is small language model with few parameters, it performs better than any of the pre-trained language model that we experiment with. The basic answer is that Afribata was trained solely on African languages, and it is, a small size, which is what brings this competitiveness of this language model. And we have many results. You can check out the paper as well. Now, the question is, can we do better? Meaning, now we do sentiment analysis for Nigerian languages. We now have a very good result in some ways. Can we do better? Can we invite other researchers for NLP, other researchers interested in sentiment analysis in African languages? Can we come together and create more data set for African languages? Can we come together to, create, noble approaches that can solve African language solutions that are not being shown? So, for example, somebody can say, sentiment analysis is a solved problem. Why can't we just pick, approaches in, high result that has already been so applied? But as we can see, there are some challenges that, language are different. You need to find a solution that works for our own language. That's why we, go forward and now create a competition, or academic competition called SemEval. So what is SemEval? Our SemEval tax is called NaijaSenti. And now, what is SemEval? So SemEval, some of us may know it, but some have not. So let me talk a bit what SemEval is. So SemEval is basically a semantic evaluation workshop which aims to, put semantic analysis and creating high quality data set for NLP problem. And it is a competition, as I said. However, this is not a competition like Kaggle. A Kaggle is a competition for AI and NLP and stuff like that. But this is not a Kaggle or Zindi. This is academic competition in the sense that when you compete, you can write a paper, submit a paper, attend a workshop, so you can see this is different from Kaggle or Zindi or some stuff like that. And it turns out that this SemEval started, I think, since year 98. But all I know is that there wasn't any African language, like far as I can know. Maybe Saif can correct me, because Saif has been, one of those for over 10 years. So as far as I know, there is no African language. So that's what motivated us to put forward that, yes, we need to submit a proposal for SemEval for African languages. And there was over 15 submissions. And luckily, our submission was accepted. And an ACL, to mention, is an ACL event, as you can see. Okay, so you can see this year, 2023, there are 12 tasks for SemEval. Our own is task 12, which is NaijaSenti SemEval, sentiment analysis for low resource languages using Twitter data. What's the time? Okay, all right, I have many questions. So our task basically, right now we have 16 languages, not 14. Sorry, I didn't change this one. So our shared task is the first shared task or competition in SemEval with African languages. And it involves 16 languages. And we have 3 subtasks. We have monolingual that involves 13 languages. We have multilingual that basically involve putting all the training data in all these languages. And we have zero shot. This zero shot is for 3 languages. This one is also ranked. So if you are interested, I'm calling, the African NLP researchers community, to participate in this. Right now, we have quite a number of people registered, but we aim to have more. These are some of the languages we have right now: Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, Pidgin, up to 2. And one good thing with this is that we take participatory approach in the sense that, for example, we reach out to people. Hey, we are organizing SemEval, and these are the languages that are involved. We want to involve you. If you want to involve your languages, let's come together to create the data set. And now you can see, for example, Twi, Moroccan Arabic, Algerian Arabic, Kinyarwanda, it's just participatory. People shows interest, and now we help them, put the data, put the annotation too. So so this is how we were able to have more data, and we are still some languages we haven't finished annotation. We are still working on it. Why you need to participate? So we are Africa researchers impact in NLP. We need to promote research in African languages NLP. And when you participate, you basically promote research in that. And now you, as I said, you get the chance to write system description paper, and stand a chance to win an award if you have a good system that beat other systems. And we also have a best paper award, meaning that all the people that participate in the shared task, they submit their paper. We're gonna have a best paper award, and we're gonna announce the prize as soon as possible. So what are the prizes involved? So we have 3 different categories of prizes. Number 1 is Africa League. So what is Africa League? Africa League is basically any team that involves at least one African. That is Africa League. So we have another league, which is Masters and Undergrad Student League, which is dedicated for Masters and UG students. And we have a worldwide league. So this means that in each league, for example, if we go back to different tags, so if, for example, here we have multilingual. So for us to give a prize for multilingual, it's going to be 3 prizes. That 3 prizes will come from Africa League, the best team from Africa, then the best team from this UG or master student, and the worldwide. And one of the thing is that we have many kind of terms and conditions. You cannot win prize from 2. You can have only 1. So there are many terms and conditions related to that. You can visit our, page. You can learn or read more about that. So how can you participate? So this is basically the Coda Lab, which is basically competition website where you're gonna submit your system, where you're gonna see the data set, where everything is there. So here you can see the term and condition. It's the organizer submission format, how you're gonna submit. The schedule, and everything is here. And one thing we plan to do by the end of this week, hopefully, is that we're gonna have what's called starter kit, where we'll provide a code and core lab where you can train your model for baseline system. So soon we are working toward that. Yes. Now, how can you participate? So for you to participate is just select one of the tasks. If you want to train model, for example, in Hausa or Oromo, or you want to train model in all these languages, and you want to do either monolingual, you want to do multilingual or zero shot, or you can do all the 3. Select the one you are interested on. That's the first task. And form a team or single of team. So you can form a team with your colleagues, with everyone, you can form a team and register in the competition. When you register in the competition website, you can have access to the data set. And we have also terms and conditions that relates to the data set. I mean, our data set is only for research purpose, for this competition and stuff like that. You will see a lot of these terms and conditions. And we ask people to abide by those terms and conditions. And now at this stage, from today now to January, we are in what we call development period, where we release the training set. People try to develop their system, develop model using training set at dev set. We release training set and dev set. People try to, develop a model, submit their result in the competition website, and now see their performance. Now in January, we will release a test data. And now people can know, and that is evaluation period in January. So you have good time now to, even if you don't know how to do some techniques, you have good time to learn stuff. We have a lot of time. So we evaluate them. You do at evaluation period, you test your result on evaluation data, and now you submit your final result. So we have number of submission that is allowed. Also, everything is there in the website. So you can see evaluation here. So under evaluation, everything is detailed. And One good thing also we are planning to do before the end of the week, we'll record a video describing how you can participate from A to Z, meaning how can you even register, how can you train a model using the baseline code that we'll provide, how can you submit. So we'll release a video of walkthrough on how you can participate, how you can submit your system result. And now, yeah, after that, you write a paper and now win an award. We have Best Paper Award and Best System Award. And you attend a SemEval workshop at the end of the day, which will be co-located with the ACL-based events. Yeah, thank you. Spread the word about our competition. And we hope you can share this competition with your students, with your circles, and with colleagues so that they can participate, try to solve sentiment analysis problem in the African continent. That is all I got. Thank you all. Yeah.
That is super amazing. Thank you so much, Shamsuddin. That was really, really inspiring. I'm sure many people here and many people watching the video on YouTube were very inspired by the work you're doing for sentiment analysis for African languages. Thank you so much. So we're in the Q&A period now. If anyone has any questions, now is the time to ask. Okay, thank you so much, Shamsuddin. Thank you everyone for your questions. Unfortunately, due to time, we'll have to end here. You can always contact Shamsuddin. Okay, that's good. The email is there, the Twitter handle is there. There's a Slack for the AfriCenti. There's a Masakhane Slack. There's a Lanfrica Slacks. There are many ways to contact Shamsuddin or Saif or Idris or anyone involved. So with this, I say thank you so much, Shamsuddin, for this wonderful talk. Thank you so much to the larger team, so Saif, Idris, and everyone who is involved in this project and everyone who is interested in trying to do sentiment analysis for African languages. It's very important to work on our African languages, and we are the only ones who can do it and do it well. So thank you all so much for this wonderful talk. See you all next week for another amazing talk, and bye.
Thank you.